Hello and welcome to the first episode of 45 Minutes South, a podcast about sports from Ohio, specifically Cleveland, and we're basically 45 minutes south of it. That's about all I can offer. I'm your host, Hunter, joined by my co-host via the phone.
Kurt.
And both of us, having been in Ohio our entire lives, feel us relatively qualified to talk about Ohio sports and how they're slowly killing us in some capacities. Starting off, it was brought to my attention before the show that while we are not 45 minutes south of Columbus, I still want to talk about the Blue Jackets. So Blue Jackets had the big offseason signing that'll probably help the team in the long run. Relatively nothing else has happened since then, which isn't a bad thing. That's just hockey's in its slow period. Zdeno Chara has retired as of the recording. Another player whose name I'm forgetting retired, but he has the most consecutive NHL games played in history. Hockey's had some interesting things go on. Next year should be pretty good. It'll be interesting watching what teams step up, what teams go out, and if the Tampa Bay Lightning continue to be the Tampa Bay Lightning, and if the Avalanche continue to be the Avalanche.
Sure. I know nothing about hockey, so you're on your own on this one, man.
Fair enough. That about ends my miniature tirade, I guess the word you can look for on that. So we'll shift over to a sport that I know very little about, except that the Guardians are currently 4 games up, I believe, on the Sox.
Yeah, and they're playing the Sox tonight.
Well, they should be. It's in a rain delay, I think. Yeah.
If they ever start, yeah.
Operative word there. Is there anything you want to bring up about the current situation with the Guardians?
Good looking baseball team. Youngest in the league, youngest by far in the league. Weren't planned on being where they are. So totally fun to watch, totally fun to see. Once again, solid pitching, aggressive base running, and solid defense is really, keeping these guys in the hunt. They definitely have their ups and downs. They're a little streaky from time to time, so you'll get 8-2 runs, and then you'll get 2-8 runs. So, but still fun to watch. And since the Central Division leader would probably be second or third, maybe even fourth in the other divisions, you got to win this division to get to the playoffs. And right now, they're doing what they're supposed to.
Yeah, that's all you can ask. Would you say that the Guardians are kind of playing with house money this year?
What do you mean house money?
Well, it's like we have no expectation, so just even making the postseason in general is an accomplishment.
Yeah, but they've come to become that team, right? I mean, Terry Francona does a lot with what he's been given, man, and he's done it over and over and over again, So, while you can kind of look at it that way, sometimes you can also step back and look at, hey, man, this coaching staff knows how to get the most out of the players he's given,
I get that, yeah. Again, I'm not super in tune with baseball, and I haven't been driving when it's been on the radio, so I haven't really been following it. But I will say from what I have listened to and what I have followed, we're kind of getting back to the point where we are just a well-rounded team, kind of counting on that kind of well-roundedness to help us win games. Just be consistent, let our talent do its job. Is that a fair assumption on my end?
Yeah, absolutely, man. And they are a well-rounded team. They do a lot with a little.
Mm-hmm. Anything else in the baseball world you think we should touch on?
Well, you got the haves and the have-nots, right? And right now you really do, you're really seeing the have-nots that are, kind of making their name right now. But, the Yankees, the Astros are just beasts, The entire East will probably make top 3, maybe even 4 teams in the East will make up your wild cards.
Dear
besides
God.
the division leader. So it's, big market versus little market, and we'll see what happens.
Right. How are the was it the Giants doing?
The San Francisco?
Yes.
They're solid, but the West is dominated by LA. So
Okay.
LA is up by 20-some games. They've already clinched the division and a playoff berth. Home field probably throughout. So they have just been a beast. And then San Diego is 22 games behind them right now. And, they're a really good baseball team. They've won almost 90 games. So they may have actually won 90 by now. But, that's how good LA is in that division this year.
Good Lord, I didn't realize it was that. Holy crap. Jesus. That's actually nuts.
Yeah. They're, if they keep on doing what they're doing and stay away from injuries, it should be a walk-in for them this year.
Hey. You can always hope. And then the playoffs will happen and something nuts will go on.
Yep.
Other sports news going on. Oh, we had the big Cavs trade. Neither of us follow basketball that much. But we had the big Cavs trade for somebody I am forgetting and we'll be looking up really quickly if you want to take over.
I can't remember the guy's name either, man.
Oh, God. We're professionals.
I basketball a ton, so.
Yeah. Donovan Mitchell.
Yep. So, big move. Really good basketball player. Still got all the young stars around him. We did get rid of a couple guys that, have been solid for us as well. But
I think
probably all in all, it's probably a positive for the Cavs.
Yeah. So, my big thing was, we kept Darius Garland, that was my big thing, where I was like, no, please. I did not want to lose him because what I listened to and what I saw, he was not exactly, I would say, the reason we won games, but he was the reason the team was good. I think he enabled the team to be so much better than it, I think, was on paper.
Yeah.
And I found the trade. So, the Cavaliers have sent the Jazz, I'm going to say these names wrong, Lauri Markkanen, rookie wing Ochai Agbaji, I'm so sorry, and Colin Sexton.
Okay.
And 3 unprotected first-round picks, and 2 pick swaps.
Nice.
I don't know what those pick swaps are.
It's a lot to give up, but it's, I think they're trying to be that much more competitive in the East,
Mm-hmm. I mean, we were in a position to make a push. We just lost. We were in the play-in games and we just could not get our foot on the throttle. I felt like it just felt like we stalled out and just went close enough.
Yeah, you know what? It was hard because we had some pretty solid teams in our division, and again, young team. Darius Garland carried us in a lot of aspects on this team. You can't have a guard doing it all for you.
Right.
He needed support, and he just didn't have consistent support. Every now and then you get Kevin Love off the bench draining 5 threes, and then he'd come out in a different game and he couldn't hit the backboard. So it's like, oof,
The curse of Kevin Love.
Yeah, no doubt.
Well, I think we've covered all the big stuff. Internationally, I can't think of anything super large unless it's soccer, and I refuse to talk about that. Sumo, I don't believe had big news. MMA had a mess of a card that saw Diaz retire. Jose Aldo has retired, which is huge. That man has had one hell of a career. He's probably in the conversation for one of the greatest fighters ever. Not the greatest of the UFC, I think, because I think George St. Pierre rules that, but I don't think you can talk about the greatest fighters to ever step foot in a ring and not have Jose Aldo somewhere in that conversation.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah. It's a shame he didn't get to fight one more time in Brazil, but I think stepping away now is probably good for him.
Yeah, the guy I'd love to see come back for at least another fight is Stipe, since we're talking about Ohio.
Stipe Tuivasa. Tuivasa just lost. Stipe hasn't fought. Let's put them in a ring together, because I don't know who John Jones is fighting, and the UFC still seems to think that they can make money off him.
Yeah, I'm sure, man.
I don't know. Ngannou also, this is actually news that matters, I remember. Ngannou says that he has not been offered a contract extension by the UFC.
Oh, really?
Right. He was pretty vocal about the UFC pissing him off and not paying him what he thought he was worth. So that could be why he's not getting his money. I would like the UFC to re-sign him, but at the same time, if he goes, that division's going to be a bit of a mess, which could be good or could be bad. I'm not completely sure.
Right. Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't like how cheap the UFC is, man. I think it really is going to eventually kill them. you know, there's going to be somebody that steps up that really sees the value in the sport, and they're going to back it with money and promotion, a lot like boxing, you know? I mean, think about the money boxing makes. You know, you get $40 for a fight, you know, where, you know, a UFC guy would have to fight, you know, thousands of fights to get that kind of money. You know, that's just crazy.
Yeah, and I think it's weird how they're like, the way the UFC gets around it is like how they term their fighters' pay, I believe, and what the fighters are, because I think they're technically considered like contract employees or something. But I think the issue more so at hand is just that there's no real major competition, and if that can change soon, I'd love to see it, because it's like one has made its American debut on Amazon Prime. I did miss that fight. I'm hoping to catch the next one upcoming. But if one's able to keep making a push with really good cards that are just fun to watch, I would love to see some pressure put on and fighters get paid. I'd also love a fighters union for that matter. But we can only wish from the outside looking in and try to make our voices heard on that.
Yeah. I'm enjoying the Bellator and some of these other leagues, man, that are popping up, man.
Yeah.
Look forward to those guys continuing to put pressure.
And like, I'll be honest, I think my favorite other one right now, other than one, because I just love how one puts together fights, but PFL is a super fun one to watch with how they're set up, because they have an end-of-year championship worth $1 million for fighters, which is not even so much the money in that case, but it's like every fight has stakes. It's not like, oh, you're fighting for a belt. It's, oh, with the belt, there is a tangible reward that any person would want.
Right. No, I agree wholeheartedly.
Yeah. I think we've gone on and on about the efficacies of MMA and paying people in the UFC.
Oh, yeah.
Let's talk about the NFL. Oh, God.
The clowns.
Well, if you couldn't guess by the name, 45 Minutes South means that we cheer for Cleveland. And now, the Deshaun Watson thing notwithstanding, we're not going to talk about it. We're only going to state facts. He is suspended until week 12, which means the Texans are getting a good draft pick from this year. Well, I say good, probably mid-round. But coming into this game, we were facing the Jets. I was pretty confident that we should win this game.
Yeah.
To talk about the game in just kind of a broad perspective, I don't think the entire issue was our offense. I do think there were points on the board, but I don't think the offense is the reason we lost the game, aside from that pick at the end where we had to go for Hail Marys at that point.
Yeah, I didn't get to watch the game. I was actually watching a Cleveland baseball game just up the street, so I wasn't there, but I was peeking in on the game. And, you know, what it comes down to is executing well at every facet of the game. And this is where Cleveland steps on its own dick every time.
I was expecting toes.
They'll come out and they'll have a great offensive game, which they did. I mean, they scored 31 points, right? Or 30 points.
30 points. We missed a kick in there.
Yep. And then, you know, their defense gave up a 70-yard touchdown to Joe Flacco, right? It's like, come on, man. It's like, really, the Jets and Joe Flacco can throw a 70-yard touchdown pass on us? So, our defensive line didn't get there, and our defensive secondary, for the second week in a row, I might add, blew it, right? Baker threw a 60-yarder because our safety keeps dropping down on the outside routes and letting the guy run down the seam, and it's like killing it.
Yeah.
But back to the original point. You got to be good on all facets, right? So our defense wasn't there. Our offense was keeping up. And then all we had to do was compete directly on the special teams. And there they let us down again. You miss an onside kick. You don't recover an onside kick being kicked to you. And then you miss a PAT and you lose by 1. And it's like, you can't script this stuff, man. It's like, with the Browns, you no lead is safe with these guys, man. And it's been that way all my life, and it's just crushing.
Right. Yeah, and I think you kind of summed up the game pretty well. It was a game of just issues after issues after issues. I think my big thing is, like, as you said, the defense, our D-line is good. Our linebacking core has two players that really stand out in my mind, and then we're serviceable there. JOK and the other person whose name I'm just completely forgetting right now. Both of them are good linebackers that I'm comfortable with in the back, and the other people are rotationable, serviceable guys. I will be honest, I was a bit of an idiot earlier this offseason because we got Chase Winovich, who was listed by the Patriots as a linebacker. Yeah, no, he's a defensive end, which is great. So I thought we'd gotten another linebacker from the Patriots that I was all excited about having, and then, no, he's a D-end, which it's nice to have, but
we have a plethora.
Well, not this week because Clowney's out. I think Clowney's direct backup is out. And then our, like, fourth string guy is out. We're down to, like, listed as 3 defensive ends, I think, currently. Obviously, we can move guys around, and Garrett can play a 3-tech, and we can move, like, that's a super flexible position nowadays, what a D-end is classified as, but...
Yep.
Yeah. But I do want to talk about one thing I have been seeing, is that at the end of the game, I've seen some people online blaming Chubb for not running out of bounds. Guys, we were up by 13 points. Like, that's not a, oh, you're only up by 7. Like, that's a, okay, yeah, you can blame Chubb for that, maybe. You're still expecting your defense to hold on to a nearly 2-score lead over the Joe Flacco-led Jets. And I admit the Jets are making improvements, but our secondary shouldn't be giving up 14 points in less than 2 minutes.
Right, exactly. That's just, that just means you got to keep playing the game. You can never take your foot off the gas because you don't know what's about to happen.
Right, like, that wasn't like, oh, he made a bad decision. That was like a logical decision. Hey, we're only up by 1 score. If I score now, I can trust our defense to keep a 2-score lead in 2 minutes. I don't think Chubb was thinking, yes, our hands team's going to fail to recover, and our defense is going to let up deep passes to Joe Flacco and the Jets.
Yep. No, I agree, man. There's no reason to think that in a professional football team you can't execute those functions,
Yeah. And I gotta be honest, I gotta think Woods is on the hot seat at this point.
You gotta think who is?
I gotta think Woods is, like, our D coordinator.
Yeah, I would think so, man. I mean, we can't keep blowing coverages the way we do.
Right. It's just
ridiculous.
For year after year, I feel like our DBs, like, we've had good players as DBs. Like, our cornerbacks have been good. We've had solid safeties. But we just keep being that is the worst part of our defense consistently, I feel like. Well, I mean, a few years ago it was linebacking core, but we fixed that. But it's like, Woods has a history as a DB coach. I don't understand how our DBs they look that much worse than the rest of our defense.
Right.
And it's just like...
I'm with you. I'm baffled, man. We got some guys that are talented enough, man, but there's just the training and the coverages is just horrible, man.
So the Browns are playing the Steelers on a short week here. That game feels like more of a toss-up than it should be, I think, just because it's a divisional game. But my fear is, like, our defense should stop whatever offense the Steelers have. But being out Clowney and looking thin at the defensive end position, I mean, those guys are questionable, but I'm also like, losing Clowney hurt last year. I can't imagine it's going to hurt less this year. I don't know. This game will probably be close. I think not having TJ Watt is probably a bonus in our direction, but still.
Yeah. It's gonna. I think Thursday is gonna be a shit show. We never do well against the Steelers.
Yeah.
They tend to execute each function pretty well, and even if they don't win, they were probably in the game, right? They
right.
lose by 40, 50. You know, they don't, you know, miss a PAT to lose a game. You know, even where their kicker was missing field goals, they were blocking the other end, right?
Yeah. And well, speaking of teams getting field goals blocked, and the Bengals, I guess. That was a terrible segue. I probably should have said, speaking of the team that had field goals blocked, the Bengals and the Cooper Rush's Cowboys. What happened to the Bengals?
I know. They've come out laying an egg this year so far. We're going to have to see if they can, you know, turn things around because they are not looking good right now.
Right. My biggest thing is just, like, you improved your O-line, and I get the whole, like, well, they haven't played together long, they're getting used to each other. I feel like we've seen other younger O-lines play poorly, but they haven't gotten their quarterback sacked that much.
Right.
It's like, I feel like if this line was playing poorly, you'd have blown running assignments, you'd have blown, like, quarterback pressures, but Burrow's getting sacked more than, like, he's on pace, I think, for 93 this year.
Wow. That's gonna. I mean, the dude's been getting his butt kicked for the last couple years.
Yeah.
This is his junior year, right? This is year 3.
Yes.
Yeah, and I mean, the dude's been sacked more than any rookie quarterback in his third year, or any young quarterback in his third year than I think any other football, you know, any other.
I think, well, David Carr might be an exception, but that was the franchise expansion Texans in like their first 3 years, so that doesn't really count. That's not an established team that has draft capital to use.
Yeah, no, I don't disagree. No, that's it. You know, that's definitely another team that you expect to do well. You know, fortunately, our division is all either 1-1 or 0-2. So, you know, we're at least, you know, aren't immediately falling, you know, behind the pack coming out of the gate.
Right. And I guess, like, if we're talking about the Browns, obviously, personality notwithstanding, Deshaun Watson, week 12, he should be a good quarterback coming out of week 12, and that should make the team better. But the question really is, well, I say, like, he'll play week 12, he's suspended 11 weeks, you know what I mean? But I gotta say, like, it really depends on, are we as a team in a position for a playoff push at that moment?
Yeah, you know, look, at the end of the day, I don't know. I think playing him all depends on, like you just said, where you are, right? Jacoby Brissett carries us and we have a winning record when that guy comes back. Do you make those changes? You know, you're bringing on a guy that hasn't seen the field in almost 2 years, right? And the only preseason game I saw, man, he looked horrible. It was 1 of 5.
Yeah.
You know? So, you know, it's like, you know, you have no idea what he's actually going to be able to do in a game situation. All he does is make our running game better, right? Because he's a threat. So, you know, I don't know. Thankfully I'm not a coach because I wouldn't want to have to make that decision.
Yeah, and quite frankly, like, I think this will be a good team. I think this should be a better team. But it's just like seeing us play. I know it's week 2 of the NFL, but like, this is us, like, growing up with the Browns. It's been like you see the team be bad consistently, and then seeing a team that should be so much better play like this, you really go, oh, this doesn't bode well. And I get it's pessimism, but I feel like I've earned the right to be somewhat pessimistic about this team.
It just hasn't changed, right? I mean, it's all the same stuff, different day. And it's, you know, when you when you bring in a coach and, you know, he seems sharp, he gets you to the playoffs, first time in a long, long time that you've been to the playoffs. And then, you know, his next season he comes back and lays an egg, and then this season he comes back and he's starting out looking just like the team did before he came here. It's like, okay, you're not making improvements.
Right, that's always the thing. And it's like, obviously, again, it's week 2 and things can change. I'm not quite waving my doom, abandon all hope, ye who enter flag yet, but it is one of those things where it's like, the reason I'm sort of getting that flag ready is just like, this is a song and dance we've seen. We're in a competitive division. We're in a competitive conference. It's like, messing up early winnable games does not feel like a mistake that we can afford that much.
Nope, because the games where we shouldn't win, we won't, right? And that's where, you know, it's highly unlikely we're going to go out and beat the Kansas Cities and the Buffalo Bills and the Miami Dolphins right now. It's like, you face any of those teams, you're likely scratching that one up as an L,
Yeah.
So when you play the Jets and they're the Jets, you should get a W, right?
Uh-huh. Well, that kind of ends it for NFL football, but I want to have one more segment about football. The Bowling Green Falcons beat Marshall for our first win of the season.
Yeah, man, that's exciting stuff, man. Week 1, you guys went to 7 overtimes.
That was week 2, actually.
Oh, that was week 2. Sorry.
Week 1 we don't talk about. That was UCLA.
Oh yeah. That's right. That was a moneymaker. That was the moneymaker game.
Right. We got paid to go get our teeth kicked in. We did have a really good block punt that basically killed the punter, which, check it out if you can find it. It is an incredible play by special teams.
Right. Not that they punted the rest of the game, but yeah, it was a good play.
Look, let me have what I can have. I was at a wedding that day, so I couldn't watch the game. I was getting highlights from my phone. But
the win against Marshall was solid. Is Marshall MAC?
No, they're Sunbelt.
Okay, Sunbelt. Were we expected to win?
No.
All right. Well, that's a nice win then.
Yeah, we went from I think we were like given a chance, and then they beat Notre Dame, and everyone went, yeah, no, BG's screwed, which I was kind of like of the same mindset, which meant that I didn't use my student-free ticket to go to the game. I watched it at my apartment on TV.
Ugh.
Yeah.
Your sister was there. She's a better BG fan than you are.
Look, in my defense, I've been doing this for like 2 years now. I've been to the bad games.
Yeah, no, I understand.
That's on me though. Yeah, I just wanted to toot my horn about that because that was a big win for us. And yes, I get it's a Sunbelt school and we're a MAC school, but we won a game. I'm happy. Toledo, same night, also got their teeth kicked in by Ohio State, so.
Yeah, on the Ohio State note, they kicked the teeth in a MAC team, but man, they're not the greatest team. Let me put it this way. I think they're just. I just think they're overranked and overrated, and I think you'll end up seeing that as they get into better competition. I think they're going to have a really hard time against Michigan. Michigan looks really good. I don't think they've given up a touchdown yet this year.
I tend to agree with you. Part of me thinks that, don't shoot me for this comparison, but I think Ohio State's a bit like Pittsburgh, as in the NFL team, in the sense of, they tend to play not down, but they play loose with competition that's definitely under them. Because, there were mistakes in that Toledo game, and, yes, you won, but you're also Ohio State versus Toledo.
Right. And again, you can't. I mean, yes, they won by 60, whatever. I don't even know if that covered the spread. Actually, 58 was it? 59. I don't remember.
They dropped a lot on them, which I was happy to see because I'm Bowling Green there, Toledo, but still.
Yeah. Let's see. I can tell you in 1 minute here. So
I'm looking it up too.
77-21.
Yeah. Which, holy crap, that's more than I thought. That's 98 points.
Yeah. Well, they were only given 31, so.
Yeah. I do kind of agree that, I want to see a bit more from OSU before I start running around waving the banner. But I think there's talent on that team. I think that's a team that can compete. I need the polish to come in. I need polish.
Yeah, well, you got Wisconsin, Rutgers, and Michigan State coming up, so we'll find out who they are.
Yeah, those are all kind of the prove-it games, I guess.
Yep.
Is there anything else you wish to address?
No, I think that's it for me tonight, my man. I'm playing dead and doing projects and doing all that fun stuff, man, so I'm going to get back to it.
Fair enough. Well, this is Ben. Say your name.
40. What was that?
Say your name.
Kurt.
And Hunter with 45 Minutes South. Thank you for listening, and see us again next week, as I'm actually going to edit this one and post it this time.